Well, the main problem with the weapons like that is that, first of all, they can fly very low. They fly very low and they can fly quite fast. They can fly at 300 kilometers an hour. And they can always take advantage of the terrain, so they can slip through areas where it's more difficult to detect them. And this is one of the biggest changes. We saw the same thing in Saudi Arabia a couple of years ago when they striked more massively and destroyed half of their oil production using, I assume, same kind of drones with the same lethality.
Right. And of course, we're assuming that this is Iranian technology that was supplied to the Houthis, who would not be able to develop that themselves.
I think it's a reasonable assumption that they either used an Iranian production drones or either have got the technology to develop it. We have to remember it's quite an old weapon that have been introduced in the arena. For Israel, we met it 15 years ago, used by the Hezbollah, but it's also been used by the Iranian in the 80s.
Right. Now, it's hard to imagine a more sensitive target than an airport, an international airport in Abu Dhabi. How should it be defended against? Why wasn't it defended better against this kind of attack? And how could it be defended against this kind of attack?
I think one of the major challenges when you're trying to protect an airport is that obviously you have a lot of airborne activity in the area. So you face a challenge in both ends. One, the detection of the incoming threat, and on the other hand, the countermeasure that you can actually apply.
Right. I want to just explain, your company is a special in the first measure, which is detecting that threat. As you said, there's lots of stuff in the air. The nightmare, of course, would be to knock out a civilian or one of your own planes while trying to target a drone. So talk about that, about making that distinction and how, for example, your company approaches that problem.
So usually what you have in that sort of systems, you have either radars or optical devices. What we have in our company is a focus on the optical element, but using algorithms instead of the human eyes to scan the sky, either as a complementary technology to radar, and on the other hand, as a standalone solution. Because at the end of the day, you don't have invisible planes. Even a stealth plane, at the end of the day, it's stealth against radar. It's not stealth against visual detection. And this is where we are focused on.
Right. There's an old saying, Lior, to catch a thief, it takes a thief to catch a thief. And I know by looking at some of what your company is, you're also involved in anti-drone drones. Ultimately, is that the best weapon to use against a drone itself? And how does that work?
Well, actually, in the company, as you mentioned, yeah, we started as a company that developed the payloads for drones, the ability to detect autonomously a lot of the activities done around it, and from that we evolved to detect the countermeasure. So we know the ability from both ends. You have many different measures. One of them is to use drone against drones. You have other kinetic options. You also have RF capabilities, jamming capabilities. You have a whole bunch of
sorry, RF for our viewers.
Yes, RF is like radar. Okay, it's a signal jamming to make sure that it doesn't get the instruction from where it has been sent. I can assume that in this use case it got GPS coordinates and it just flew blindly into that area, so it will be more difficult to jam them. There are capabilities, but but obviously in a civilian area, it's a problem to start jamming GPS while your own planes are dependent on that.
All right, Lior, as you mentioned, Israel unfortunately has had a lot of experience with drone attacks from Hezbollah. Even reports, even the Iranians may have tried to send, even from their own territory, drones here. Presumably, Israeli companies like yours are ahead of the curve. Are you in this technology? We're doing business, of course, now with the Gulf states. Are you finding more interest there in that region of the world for Israeli counter-drone technology?
Yes, there's a lot of interest from that area in different countermeasures. So we obviously in contact with a lot of potential customers. I cannot elaborate, obviously, because of the sensitivity of our customers. But yes, definitely, I think that the new agreement with them opened a whole new territory for Israeli technology.
All right, Lior Segal from Thirdeye Systems, and obviously there is a need in that part of the world for some kind of counter against drone technology. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much.